Hello there guys, welcome back. In this video what we're going to do is going to check how the connection works between Substance Painter and Unreal. Now what I'm doing here is pretty much using my asset that I already given to you, so you can work with it if you want to. So and I did all the baking already in place, already done it, and then I've done is just I drag and drop one of the smart materials here on top, and then I just change a few things here and there. So it's pretty much a painted sort of greenish bluish metal. Okay, so you got the the metal exposed, and you got the paint on top, and it's fairly rough. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the parameters you need to set up in here in order for the export to go directly into Unreal, and then how to import it in Unreal, how to use them, and then how to as well make sure that you are complying with PVR. Now, in order to comply with PVR, and I think I explained this a couple of times in class, is about the parameters that are already established within the PVR workflow, and they are hard-coded inside the shaders, in this case Unreal Engine 4, to sort of behave in a way that when you import a material or texture into an Unreal project, and let's say that you are lighting something in daytime, then when you import into something that is nighttime, then the colors will adjust, and then it will be consistent among those two lighting scenarios. That's pretty much the whole kudos behind the PVR workflow. Now PVR, you can break it, it's only a guideline, it's not like strict, but if you adhere to those, you will be in a good place. Now one of the things you can do is check if your values are correct within that, and for that there is a little tool here inside the Substance Painter called the PVR Validate, where you can just go into all and then type PVR, and it will automatically sort of filter out for you. So what you have to do is, once you finish painting, you put that right on top, and they will give you, based on the icon, will tell you whatever is green, you are in the right side, whatever is red, you are in the wrong side. Okay, so I did tweak this a little bit because I wanted to show you what it looks like. In this case, with just the color. So I gotta drop it here on top, and you can see that it's showing in red, a lot of it. It's because I did some changes. What it's saying here is that, hey, based on these parameters, let's talk to Albedo, and I think I explained this to you in class already. So you got Albedo and metal. Metal seems to be okay because the colors are correct. But if you go here into Albedo, which is the color, remember that in PVR, the base color, it will, if you are working with a metal, then that's the color of the reflection. If you're working with dielectric, that's the actual color you see back, and the reflection is white. It's just pretty much the thing that you had to learn about PVR. Now, I did some changes because it's saying, look, this is either too bright or too dark. So visually we know that it's too dark because the colors are fairly dark. So what you had to do, you had to go through all the layers, and this is where it plays a key role for you to rename things so you know where those changes have been made. So I changed this one here, which is the base paint, and that layer, that fill layer, is affecting color, height, roughness, metal, and normal. So I did change this, and you can see here the value of this here is too low, so it's too dark. So you have to go and lift it up, because if you bring this, for example, into a dark place, it will pretty much, you will lose all the detail. You will not be able to see that. So, and it's too bright, then it will still look very dark, even though it's going to be in an open space. If you put in a different lighting scenario, for example, then it will look too dark to be in an actual open sky. You see, this is what it's about. It's just sort of finding that balance, okay, that balance for that. So you go here into value, and then you just lift it up, and you see as soon as you start lifting up, it will start going, towards yellow, and then suddenly it will go into the green side, okay? And then obviously, if you're in the green side, then you know that you are in PVR, and if you scroll up here and disable it, then you can visually know, okay, that it's too bright. I can go higher because it's okay, I'm within the parameters, okay? So I say I'll go about here. Or if you go all the way up, then probably you bring PVR, it should be fine because it's something that is really bright. But so normally what you have to do is this is obviously too bright for what we want to do. So I just want to bring it down into what you think is going to be something like that, for example. Okay, you can knock down the saturation as well if you think it's too saturated, but the value is the important thing here. So once you have that, then you know that you are on the right side. So now if you go here, you can see that this is checking for Albedo, which is the base color. So let's check for metals, and then if we check for metals, then we look into the actual metal. I think it's this one, the edges, and this is metal. So if I knock this down too dark, it will start getting really red. It means that the exposed metal is too dark. See, So you see here, you see it's too dark. It looks like metal, yeah, but it's too dark. It's a little bit here. You see this metal is too dark. So you had to go and compensate for that, you see. So I'm gonna undo that. Okay. So you can check for metallic and you can check for albedo. Just remember that in the metallic, the base color is the one that gives you the reflection color. Okay, you for some reason you can, if you knock down the metallic as well, I don't think it makes any difference here because it will turn into a dielectric. But here, if you go into albedo, then you are working with the dielectric side. If you go into metal, you're working as well with base color, but you're working on the metal side. Okay, so I think this seemed to be okay. Once you had that, you just delete it. You don't need it anymore. And then we're gonna go and talk a little bit about how to export this. Okay, so this is already in place. I'm just gonna go here into File. You say Export Textures. Okay, and then here you go into Configuration. Okay, I'm just gonna probably remove this. And then I'm gonna create my own preset. So I'm gonna go here into Unreal 4 Packed, and I'm just gonna right click and I'm just gonna duplicate. Okay, and I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna press F2 and I'm gonna rename and I'm gonna call this new RMAO. And I think I spoke to you in the class about why I use RMAO, because I like to put roughness, metallic, and ambient occlusion in the red, green, and channel or of a specific file, so I can use inside Unreal. So I'm gonna just probably I don't need emissive, so I'm gonna kill this. Normal stay the same. I'm gonna change this because I don't like this. So now the naming convention that goes here is that it uses this predefined sort of tokens to put the mesh name, which is the mesh name with you star, and then underscore, and then the texture set. I like to use just the texture set, so I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna rename the texture set because the texture set at the moment is as it comes from Maya. So I'm gonna press F2. No, F2, sorry, I just like to have this in 2D and 3D. So I'm gonna click here and just gonna edit name, and I'm gonna call this static mesh underscore valve. And that's it, okay? Or I can just go with the convention, so I'm gonna call TX underscore valve. Okay, so texture. This is using the Unreal Engine 4 naming convention they suggest. So having said that, then we're gonna go into File, Export Textures, gonna go and retweak this. So okay, so I'm gonna be using only the texture set, which is this name. I don't want to use the match because it will be a long name. It will use however you export this in Maya, it will be there. Okay, so I know when I do that. So this one normal is fine. Base color is okay. Now base color, it has a base color as it is. Okay, so if you wanna, you can use the RGB here if you want, just for the base color, but we don't want that. We just want to just keep that as it is because you can get it from here anyway. So you go base color, which is the one you can just drag and drop it here, and then you can just put an alpha here if you want. I can clear the channel if I want to, so I don't need alpha for this. So here I'm just gonna rename this. I'm gonna call it RMAO. Okay, roughness, metallic, ambient occlusion, and I'm gonna clear this channel. So you go here, clear channel. So they have 3 channels available for you. And again, we talked about this. We got roughness. It's gonna be in the red channel. Okay, so gray channel. Metallic is gonna be in the green channel. Okay, and we set ambient occlusion in the blue channel. Okay. Okay, so now I have one texture that's going to be base color, this name, texture underscore val, base color. We has the base color attached to it, and it has RMO, roughness, metallic, ambient occlusion, and the normal. Okay, once you have that, you select that. That's going to be your configuration. You can just go here and select it. I think I named that one new RMO. You can drop it down here, and you see this is the naming what is going to come out, because we only kept the texture set, we only kept this. If we kept that token that is called $mesh, then it will be whatever you exported. I think it was SMM low valve underscore TX valve. So you see the length gets really long. So we define this, and then we're going to tell them where to save it. So I'm going to go and find a new destination that I created. So I think it's here. This source file textures. Okay, select that folder, and then there I'm just going to export shaded parameter. Make sure you uncheck this. And that's like an extra XML for parameters inside the shader, but you don't need that. So keep Targa. So Targa here, and that's it. That's all you had to do. 2K, where we put them, the configuration file that we created here, and we export that. Okay, we say okay, right? So I'm gonna go into here. You see the changes were picked up, and it says, do you want to import it? Say yes. Okay, so now we import that. We go into my project, and then in texture, you see you can have your 3 textures right there waiting for you. Now we're going to go through a few things in here because they're quite important. But before we do that, when I import this actual valve, I put the valve in source here, and I put it here just not inside the asset so it doesn't pick it up. So I'm just going to drag and drop into asset, and let's go back into Unreal. And now here said, you see there was a change. Let's import it. Said yes, I'm going to import it, and I'm going to call it import normal mesh, combine mesh. So it imports a single mesh, and I said import. So now it should be here in assets, you see, and I'm just going to drag and drop it here. It brought the material by default that was assigned in Maya. Okay, and I'm just going to scale it up a little bit. I'm going to make it twice as big, and lock all this. Oops. Let's put it back to 1. Then I'll lock them, and now every time I do a change here, it's going to be 3. You see, that's proportional. Okay, so I got that. Okay, I'm gonna delete this material. I don't like it. Force delete, so it's give us the default. Now I'm gonna go here into textures, and we talk about a few things here. So texture, the base color, this is the right setting. Default sRGB, because that is color. And 1Q is here in Substance Painter. You see that is color and is sRGB. Height, roughness, metallic, AO, all those things are L, linear, which means you don't have to put this RGB. And normal is RGB, no sRGB. So that is correct. Normal, correct. Picked everything up, got rid of the sRGB, that's good. And now this one, it doesn't understand it because it just see color. Say, I don't know what you're gonna do that. I'm guessing it's a color. You wanna paint this like this, that's fine, it's up to you. But we know that that's not what we want. So we know that we're gonna be using these guys individually for the roughness slot, for the metal slot, and for the ambient occlusion slot. So the setting we should use this, and it's very important, guys. You need to do that before you actually create the project, the actual material. You go here into mask, not sRGB. And now everything is treated as a single mask that has no sRGB. So once you do that, you are in the right side, okay? So I'm gonna go here into my project, and then probably I'm gonna create a new folder, and I'm gonna call it materials, okay? Okay, in the materials, I'm gonna go here, right click, create a material, and I'm gonna call this M underscore for material, valve, okay? And now I'm gonna double click that, okay? I'm just gonna drag and drop it here, an extra thing, an extra tab, and then I'm gonna go into my textures, and I'm gonna select these guys, 1, 2, 3, and then drag and drop it into valve here, and just drop in there, okay? This is just a very simple setup that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do anything fancy because it's not part of the actual coverage of this tutorial. So color goes into here. We know that in the red is gonna be, sorry, this is not that is normal. Okay, here this one is the one that is always gonna be an extra setup. So we know that roughness is in the red. Okay, green has the metallic thingy, and blue has the ambient occlusion. Okay, so once you have that, then you have your material already set up. Okay, so and this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. Okay, close this. The materials is here. I'm just gonna select this guy, and I'm just gonna slot it here, so you can see that that is the material already attached to this. See that this is the material. Okay, and this is how it should look if we were having this in a open space with a blue sky, which is fairly sort of lit. Probably I need to improve the lighting of the overall here. I think this is a bit dim, probably 10 something. You can see that it's too much, probably 6, yeah, something like that. Okay, so here this one is roughly what it should look like in this lighting condition. Now there's always this dilemma, say, well, it doesn't look like, because this one has an HDR that is actually specific to this. Okay, so don't always hold that stuff is going to look exactly the same as it looks here as it looks in Unreal. But the important thing is you need to comply with the PVR. So if I put this into a nighttime, then this material will adjust these colors and it will look okay in nighttime. Okay, it will not look too dark or too bright. Okay, so and this is it. This is what you have. You have this set up there. Okay, and you're ready to go. Okay, so I think this is it for now. I'm gonna stop this now, and then I'm gonna continue in the next video with the actual Substance Designer setup, and I think we're done with that. Okay, and I have you will have a very good starting point to keep working. And the good thing is that if you have this set up like this, you can just go back into, before I leave, you can go back in this and say, well, I like this one, but I'm just gonna make this thing, I don't know, red or purple or whatever, I don't know, yeah, somewhat red. So you know what, I'm gonna make this valve this color, for example. Okay, maybe too saturated. Okay, and you can just, all I have to do is go here into File, Export Textures, Export. Okay, say okay. Now when you go back here, you import it, you don't have to do any re-import, nothing, and automatically, you see, it picks up the changes you do. Okay, so, and this is very stream, you can go back and forward, and you don't have to go and re-import, right click, delete. That stuff really takes your time, you know. Eventually might be like a few seconds, but when you're doing texturing, you have to go back and forward a lot of time, so it's no point of having to do all this re-import and right click, delete, and no, you just do that, and every time you do a change. And again, if you go in Maya, you make change a little bit something, I don't know, whatever, because I think you shouldn't change anything now, because you already have the UVs that way. Then automatically when you export and replace it, you can re-import it here with no issues. You do that at the beginning when you put your block out, and then you can just bring that and then re-import it, and then it will replace the block out with the final image, with the final FBX. Yeah. Okay guys, that's it for now. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.